This is the Wrestling Old Head. You have entered the portal of pro wrestling.
What the world is watching.
Today we're going to be talking about TNA wrestling. I haven't gone extensive into TNA wrestling, although I've been a fan since its inception. Yes, I was shelling out $9.99 a week for their pay-per-views back when they had that model. You can call me a sucker, but we didn't have this thing called YouTube, and we didn't have means of watching pay-per-views via the internet at the time when they had started this. And I'll get into why I was so hooked with TNA a little bit later, but I want to establish that TNA wrestling has been the little engine that could for a long time. They were essentially the first company that tried to give the WWE, at the time they were the WWF, they were just getting into the WWE branding. They tried to give them a run for their money. This was after the WWE had bought WCW, and they had one of the greatest rosters of professional wrestlers of all time. They were knee-deep in WCW, ECW feuds in the WWE, and TNA tried to do something a little different by doing weekly pay-per-views, and since then they've had so many different facelifts, a who's who of people that have been behind the scenes trying to help TNA get over the hump. And more recently, they have done a partnership with the WWE, and in conjunction with them, it has activated a new momentum for them as a company, as a brand. And they have used this momentum to help bolster their popularity. And I gotta tell you, they're more popular than they have been in a very long time. And it's really exciting to see them grow as their own brand, even with the partnership with the WWE. Now, rumor and innuendo is that eventually the WWE will look to buy out TNA. I did a video on that a couple of months back. At this point, I'm going to be honest with you, it's pretty much inevitable. Whether it happens in 5 years, in 10 years, it's more than likely going to happen. It's just a matter of time at this point. But while they do have this partnership and TNA is acting as its own company, they have utilized WWE talent really well. And even before the partnership, they have utilized talent that used to be in the WWE in a really good fashion. I mean, Nick Nemeth, when he left as Dolph Ziggler from the WWE, they've utilized him well, partnering him with Ryan Nemeth. AJ Francis, aka Top Dollar, they have done some really good things with him. Heath Slater, and Rhino, when they left the WWE, Heath Slater was doing some really good things. Brian Myers was doing some good things. Dirty Dango, aka Fandango. They've done good with talent, and even more recently, Elijah. They have taken talent in the WWE that were close to breaking that ceiling and grabbing that brass ring, and they've gone to TNA and had resurgence after resurgence after resurgence. And so this Sunday, Slammiversary is slated in Elmont, New York. They were expecting 4,000 people to fill that venue. And rumor has it they might get up to 7,000 people, which could tie for a record of attendance that I think they haven't gotten close to since 2013. So we're going to talk about one of the reasons why they're probably going to sell this out and have the most amount of attendance since 2013. And it's all due in part to a wrestler that is returning to TNA in AJ Styles. We're going to break down some of the matches that's going to happen. I'm going to give you a full match breakdown, but I really want to talk about AJ Styles for a second. A couple of months ago, I did a video where I wondered if AJ Styles, it was actually a year ago now, maybe a year ago to this day, where I wanted AJ Styles to get into the TNA Hall of Fame, and I was hoping that it was going to happen last year. I believe AJ Styles was injured, and so they weren't able to do it. This year, it seems more of a possibility because they are not making this a mystery at all. And I believe even recently, as of today, when I'm recording, which is on a Friday night, that they had AJ Styles already on the banner, the posters, and said he's just returning. They did a video package on one of their television programs, and they all but confirmed it. It was a video package with a chest, a treasure chest. It opened up, and it had AJ Styles' old costume, old attire from when he was in TNA. And they did everything but play I Am, you know, which is his TNA theme music. If you know, you know. So now AJ Styles is making his return to TNA. In what capacity? That's the mystery. That's what's building the suspense and generating a lot of excitement. So what is he going to do? What's he going to be a part of? So in my opinion, and I've seen a lot of people say AJ Styles should work a program with Joe Hendry. He should work a program with Mike Santana. I agree. I think he should work programs with those guys. I think it would help bolster them up the roster. It would be really good in the partnership with the WWE to establish AJ Styles to help get some of the talent in TNA, the homegrown talent in TNA, over a little bit. But if TNA is going to position AJ Styles in a match, I've got the perfect opponent for him that nobody is talking about. Moose. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to break it down like a shotgun. When I first watched TNA, it was because I was a fan of internet wrestling news sites. More specifically, One Wrestling with Bob Ryder, Dave Meltzer's Wrestling Observer, Wade Keller in PW Torch. I frequented those websites, and I was allured by independent wrestling. And I really got into NWA Wildside. And I was introduced to AJ Styles and Air Paris through those internet websites. And I saw them briefly make an appearance in WCW before they folded. So when I heard that AJ Styles was going to be a part of TNA Wrestling, at that time he had been establishing himself with highly acclaimed matches in Ring of Honor. And I just had to see him. Ring of Honor at the time, it was really hard to get any footage or even get videos of Ring of Honor. If you were on RF video, if you were tape trading, it was easier to come across those matches. At that time in my life, I wasn't tape trading as much as I had previously. So for $9.99, I wanted to check out AJ Styles. And I remember, like it was yesterday, AJ Styles battled AJ Styles battled Jerry Lynn and Low-Ki. That match made I had some friends over and we watched the pay-per-view, and those guys weren't particularly big wrestling fans. They were aware of wrestling. They only knew the WWE at the time, and they watched AJ Styles, Jerry Lynn, and Low-Ki, and it made them a fan. The stuff that AJ Styles did with Jerry Lynn and Low-Ki, and then Christopher Daniels and later Samoa Joe, is stuff of legend. They were so ahead of their time. They were doing things that we hadn't really seen on a large scale ever in professional wrestling. And AJ Styles was at the forefront of that. And to see now this full circle moment where AJ Styles can come back to the place that he built, essentially, in my opinion, and really close the chapter in his entire career. Because he left TNA in a very odd fashion. You know, he went to New Japan and then eventually he made his way into the WWE, but he never got to have that finality. You know, he never got to go out the way that he should go out as the Sting of TNA, as the Shawn Michaels of TNA. And so now we get a chance to see him come back full circle. So yes, I do want to see him work with Mike Santana and Joe Hendry and some of those guys. The reason why I mentioned Moose as a perfect opponent is because Moose right now is the current X Division champion. Now, I'm not advocating for AJ Styles to beat Moose and become the X Division champion, but a match with Moose could propel the X Division championship to new heights. AJ Styles was a part of the X Division. He is a former X Division champion, and he's a legend. I think in this scenario, pitting Moose and AJ Styles in a ring could be big business for them, and it doesn't affect the top of the card. Other guys that I would like to see him work with would be guys from NXT, like Trick Williams. I would love to see him work with Trick Williams. I'd love to see him work with Obafemi. I think those those three in a triple threat match, or those three in different iterations in singles competition, could blow the roof off of NXT or TNA or wherever they decide to work. But as of right now, it is all rumor and innuendo. It's all theory. We're just fantasy booking at this point where AJ Styles is going to land. But there is a level of excitement for TNA wrestling that I haven't seen in a long time, and it makes me excited as a wrestling fan to see that TNA is getting back to being in the whispers of the internet and getting fan excitement. It's going to bring in new audiences. So I want to break down the card for Slammiversary and give my opinion on some of the matches just really quickly. They're going to have Jake Something, Steve Macklin, and Mance Warner in a 6-man tag against Zilla Fatu, Real One, which is Enzo Amore, and you can't teach that, and Josh Bishop. Zilla Fatu, I believe, is going to be making his debut in TNA wrestling. Highly touted young superstar from the deep, and I mean very deep, Samoan dynasty that is akin to The Rock. He is akin to Jacob Fatu, Solo Sikoa, and the Usos. So this can be an opportunity for Zilla to get even closer to eventually debuting in WWE and even NXT. In this match, I do envision that we will get Jake Something, Steve Macklin, and Mance Warner coming out on top here. I don't think Real One Enzo Amore has been a part of TNA. I think he may have had brief appearances, but I've been out of the loop with TNA for a long time. So I am very excited to see what they're doing with this. I know they ran a promo package with Real One and Zilla Fatu that was done in a very similar fashion to the NWO. So I don't know if they're going to be building these guys up. So if they are planning on building these guys up and it not being just a one night only type of a scenario, then I can definitely see them coming out on top. But I'm going to go with Jake Something, Steve Macklin, and Mance Warner, considering that Steve Macklin is the NWA International Champion. The Elegance brand, Ash by Elegance and Heather by Elegance, will be battling the Inspiration, which is Casey Lee and Jessica McKay. Now, you'll remember the Inspiration as the Iconics. They are now going by the Inspiration. They made their return to professional wrestling in TNA, and I can see the Inspiration coming out on top here. I really do see that there may be a tag team title change that can help us reestablish the women's tag team division for TNA. So I'm going to go with them. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm going to knock these predictions out of the park because I have been out of the loop with TNA. I have had a cursory knowledge on TNA since its partnership with the WWE, but after Slammiversary, I feel like I'm going to delve deeper into understanding what TNA is doing lately and some of their storylines and how they're progressing. So moving on, we're going to have Masha Slamovich battle JC Jane. This is a winner-takes-all match for the TNA Knockouts World Championship and the NXT Women's Championship. Without spoiling what I think is going to happen in the main event, I feel like JC Jane winning is going to be a good trade-off for whatever happens with Trick Williams in the main event. So, in my opinion, I'm going with JC Jane, although I would love to see Masha Slamovich as an NXT Women's Champion. I think that she can do good on NXT, although I haven't seen her that much on NXT, and I'm going to assume that they're trying to build JC Jane up a little bit more to eventually lose the Women's Championship to either Blake Monroe or Jordan Grace. So for that, I'm going to go with JC Jane. The Nemeths in a 4-way tag team ladder match for the TNA World Tag Team Championships battle the Hardys, Jeff and Matt, the Rascals, Trey Miguel and Zach Wentz, and First Class, AJ Francis and Casey Navarro. This could go either way. I've heard a lot of rumor about the Hardys potentially getting closer to retirement. I would like to see them go to Raw and help bolster that tag team division that desperately needs more tag teams before they do decide to walk off into the sunset. And I'd love to see them work with the New Day, which would be a full circle moment from when they made their triumphant return to the WWE a few years back at WrestleMania, involved with the New Day. I'd really like to see them have one more match with the New Day. I'm going to go with the Nemesis to retain their tag team championships here. I think there's still some more story to be told with Nick and Ryan, so I'm going to go with that. Although a title change is not out of the question, in my opinion. Mustafa Ali will battle Cedric the Entertainer, or Cedric the Entertainer in a singles match. I keep calling him Cedric the Entertainer. I swear I'm not trying to do it. It just kind of comes out that way. Cedric Alexander, who made his debut in TNA recently, is going to be battling Mustafa Ali. And this is going to be interesting because I still think that Mustafa Ali has a lot of momentum going, but I really do see Cedric the Alexander, Cedric the Entertainer. I'm really not trying to say it, guys. I really see Cedric Alexander coming out on top here, so I'm going to pick him. Moose defends his X Division Championship against Leon Slater, a highly touted young lion who is very similar to Javon Evans. They're both very, very young. They're both athletically gifted, and they've got the world ahead of them. But I really feel like Moose is going to come out on top in that one. Indy Hartwell is going to be wrestling with TNA. She's going to wrestle Tessa Blanchard, who is going to have Victoria Crawford in her corner. Victoria Crawford, if you remember, is in the immortal words of Noam Dar, Alicia Fox. And so she's been managing Tessa Blanchard recently. So I believe Tessa Blanchard's going to get the win here. I'm going to go with Tessa Blanchard. Dark State, Dion Lennox, Osiris Griffin, Cutler James, and a guy I'm really high on, Saquon Shigor, is going to wrestle the System. Brian Myers, Eddie Edwards, and Dirty Dango, and JDC, Dirty Dango, and Matt Cardona in an 8-man tag. I got Dark State coming out on top in that one. And finally, in a triple threat match, Trick Williams battles Joe Hendry and Mike Santana. I got Mike Santana coming out on top. I think this is the match for him to win. He's been doing a lot of press. He's gotten really over. I think this is his chance to realize his dream, win the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, slide Trick Williams back onto NXT. Then you have JC Jane working double duty with TNA and NXT. I think Trick Williams is really close to getting called up onto the main roster. So I don't envision him having a very long TNA World Championship run. I think he's done everything that he can with the TNA World Championship. And I think that it's time to move that on. Give Mike Santana the championship. Have him be the flag bearer for TNA going forward. And I think we see Mike Santana in the WWE in the not too distant future. So that's how I'm going to break down Slammiversary. And like I said, I'm no expert here. I'm not confidently predicting these matches, but I am very excited to see what they're going to do. As far as AJ Styles, at the very least, if he's not going to wrestle Moose, if he's not going to have a program with the System, if he's not going to work with Joe Hendry and Mike Santana in some fashion, even in a tag match, then at the very least, they need to give him a Hall of Fame induction. A lot of people have been wondering if they would put him in the TNA Hall of Fame before he goes to the WWE Hall of Fame. I don't think that merits any type of a debate. I think the WWE would be fine with that. I think it would help establish a stronger partnership with them if they allow AJ Styles to be a part of the TNA Hall of Fame. And AJ Styles has more than earned it. And I really hope that they give AJ Styles the finality, the closing of the chapter, as he starts to close his chapter or close his book as a professional wrestler and eventually start to bow out gracefully and retire. Although he's got so much athletic ability still, even at his age, I really feel like it's the right move to do. So AJ Styles being in TNA, this excitement that is surrounding Slammiversary, what do you guys think about it? I will hope to have my reactions, thoughts, and a brief review of Slammiversary after the event concludes. So I'll let you know what I think of the event and break it on down like a shotgun, as I always do. This has been the Wrestling Old Head. You have entered the portal of pro wrestling. Guys, hit the thumbs up. It's free. Subscribe in the channel so that you're on dial for whenever I put out another video and drop some science on professional wrestling. I cannot wait for Slammiversary, you guys. So let me know in the comments what you think about Slammiversary. What do you think is going to happen with AJ Styles? And until next time, you guys, stay tuned for more.